China's military parade, which marked the anniversary of China's defeat of the Japanese in World War II. As the parade began on Wednesday local time, Trump asked on Truth Social whether Xi would mention the massive amount of support and blood America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom. The president also accused the leaders present of bad intentions, writing, quote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." The Kremlin responded today saying Putin was not conspiring with China's Xi and North Korea's Kim Jong-un against the United States. The parade marks the 80th anniversary of Japan's surrender. China observers say the Chinese Communist Party uses the occasion to push a false narrative that it led the fighting against Japan. They point out it was the Republic of China's government which ruled China before retreating to Taiwan. The EU also weighed in. Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said today the leaders of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea represent an autocratic alliance challenging the rules-based international order. While in China today, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Putin thanked his counterpart for providing troops used to fight against Ukraine. The two leaders met formally at a state guest house after attending a military parade in Beijing. According to the Kremlin, Putin and Kim traveled from a formal reception to the negotiations in the same car. South Korean assessments found North Korea sent around 15,000 troops to Russia since last year. And also today, Russia says it wants to help China overtake the U.S. as the world's biggest producer of nuclear power. As of now, China produces only around half of the nuclear energy the U.S. produces. Beijing is trying to build dozens of reactors to overtake Washington. The head of Russia's state nuclear cooperation says Moscow is already helping China in trying to achieve that goal. Putin also says he's ready to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but only if he comes to Moscow. Putin added that it remains to be seen whether such a meeting is worthwhile. The Russian leader said he thinks Ukraine needs to cancel martial law, hold elections, and hold a referendum about territorial questions. Ukraine didn't hold presidential elections after Zelensky's term ended due to the war and martial law being in place. Meanwhile, a hot mic picks up Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping discussing organ transplants and possibly living to 150 years old. This was caught while they walked shoulder to shoulder to see a massive military parade in Beijing today.
在这样发展，人类的器官会不断的移植，甚至越活越年轻，甚至会长生不老。预测呢，本世纪呢，可能另外可以活到150岁，也不能说是说永远等于。
Putin and Xi were walking toward the Tiananmen rostrum, where they viewed the parade. The moment was live streamed on both Chinese state media and international media. Putin later confirmed to reporters that he indeed discussed longevity with Xi. North Korean regime leader Kim Jong-un was smiling and looking in the direction of Putin and Xi, but it was not clear if the conversation was being translated for him. Human rights groups have found that the Chinese Communist regime has been forcibly harvesting human organs from live prisoners of conscience on a wide scale for 2 decades. The organs were sold for profit to those needing transplants, including foreign visitors. Victims include Falun Gong practitioners and ethnic and religious minorities. Following the news of Putin and Xi Jinping's discussion on organ transplants and immortality, House Speaker Mike Johnson responded to a question raised by NTD this morning. Listen.
Yeah, I will tell you that we've heard some horrific stories of these organ transplants and all of this in China, that they take it from unwilling donors, okay, to put it mildly. And the fact that they were caught on a hot mic, first I've heard of that, is very telling. It tells you what their worldview is in contrast to ours. Speaking of evil. We've heard of, terrible stories. I've heard terrible stories of the Uyghurs, for example, this persecuted religious minority that they're using to harvest organs from. I mean, look, I've not seen the evidence of that, but if the leaders are talking about it, it should alarm us. The United States, we're going to stand for morality and ethics, and we're going to stand against that. There's legislation, as you know, that would address it, and we might need to put that at the top of the priority list if that's what's happening. So that's news to me.
A brave act of defiance in communist China. A Chinese man staged a rare protest